Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here breaking down the Showdown slate on Draftkings for the Week 10 Monday Night Football game. For this week, on Monday night, we got a game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. We're going to talk through this Showdown slate, work our way through the player pool. I'll touch on all the guys that I think are playable, the guys that I have the most interest in on this Showdown slate. We'll also look at the Vegas totals. We'll talk through some snap counts from last week and just look at players maybe that might be low owned on this Showdown slate that give us some upside, just given how much they are playing. Just before we do get started with the video, as always, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. Always greatly appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I upload these Showdown videos pretty much for every Monday night and Thursday night game. I haven't been playing the Sunday night games because with NBA going on, with NFL on Sundays, it's a little bit tough to play the Showdown slates for Sunday night, but definitely get action down on the Monday night and Thursday night games. So I have a ton of Showdown videos coming out. I have videos for the NFL main slates. I got NBA videos going up daily. I would definitely appreciate it if you guys would subscribe if you have not already. Click the notification bell as well, so that way you get notified every time I upload. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at DFS by Noah. I'm very active on Twitter. Would appreciate it if you guys would give me a follow over there. But let's go ahead and take a look at this Showdown slate for today. We'll start off at the top. We'll work our way through the player pool. I'll just talk about all the guys that I think I have the most interest in, that I think are playable on this Showdown slate. So starting off at the top with the two most expensive plays, both at the quarterback spot, Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo. Wilson's 11.4, Jimmy is 11K. I think Jimmy is probably in the better matchup, obviously, or I would say he's definitely in the better matchup at home against the Seahawks. This 49ers defense is very tough, so this is a tough spot for Russell Wilson, having to go into San Francisco to face this really good 49ers defense. But Russell Wilson is just one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's one of the more matchup-proof quarterbacks in the NFL as well. The guy's going to give you 14, 15 DraftKings points even on his bad games. And in competitive games where Wilson has to throw, we're seeing him put up 30-plus DK points. This game is expected to be competitive, and the Seahawks are underdogs right now, so I don't think the Seahawks are going to be able to run the ball as much as they would like here. I do really like Russell Wilson. It just kind of depends on how you're constructing your lineup, like who you're playing at captain. In lineups where I have like Tyler Lockett at captain, I definitely want to have Russ in those lineups. In lineups where I have like Emmanuel Sanders at captain, or one of the other cheap receivers like Deebo Samuel, I definitely want to have Jimmy in those lineups where I have like 49ers receivers at captain. So it's just all about constructing your lineups the right way, correlating your lineups the right way. If I just have to choose one, I think I'm honestly going to side with Russell Wilson just because I think he's the more talented quarterback. And even though he's in the tougher matchup, he's just such a good, efficient QB that he can still come through even in a tough matchup. But now talking through like some of the top wide receiver ones, you got Tyler Lockett, Emmanuel Sanders. I really like Emmanuel Sanders on this Showdown slate, and he's probably one of my favorite plays overall. We do know as of Sunday night that George Kittle is doubtful for this game, which is going to free up a lot of targets for guys like Emmanuel Sanders. I think we're going to see Deebo Samuel see more targets as well. Marquise Goodwin could potentially see more targets. Maybe Dante Pettis even gets a little bit of action. He's really cheap at $3,400. But the main beneficiary is going to be Emmanuel Sanders. Just so far with the 49ers, I believe he's played 2 games with the 49ers, 4 catches, 25 yards and a touchdown, 7 catches, 112 yards and a touchdown. He's got 9 and 5 targets in those 2 games. The way you beat the Seahawks defense is through the air. They don't have a very good pass defense. I definitely like Sanders here. I think he's really going to benefit with George Kittle doubtful for this game. Kittle will see in consistent volume every week, 7, 8 targets a week. We could see the backup tight end get a little bit of work, but it's mainly going to be Emmanuel Sanders as the biggest beneficiary. And I really like him as a captain play. 15,300 at the captain. Like I talked about, if I have Emmanuel Sanders at captain, then I probably want to pair him with Jimmy Garoppolo in those lineups. Obviously, Tyler Lockett's a solid play as well. Lockett will probably see Richard Sherman, though. Richard Sherman has been a very stout quarter this season. I do prefer to go to Sanders because I like his matchup more. I like that Kittle is out as well. But obviously, Tyler Lockett is not a bad play on a one-game Showdown slate. I mean, you can play Tyler Lockett. But if I have to choose one, I'm probably going to side with Emmanuel Sanders. But then the running backs, I don't have a ton of interest in any of the running backs here. Chris Carson's in a really tough matchup. Plus, I expect the game script to not be great for him. 8,600, the price is nice for him, but I just don't know if I want to target Chris Carson on this slate. I'd probably prefer to go to the 49ers running backs. You got Coleman at 8,200, Matt Breida at 6,200. Just so far this season, it's been pretty clear these are the top 2 running backs for the 49ers. We'll pull up the snap counts just from last week and look at how the snap count percentage went. So last week, 55% of the snaps were played by Tevin Coleman, 39% by Matt Breida, and then you had Jeff Wilson play 3%, Mostert played through 3%, but it's mainly going to be like a 50-40 split between Coleman and Breida. So it's obviously going to be tough to tell which guy is going to have the big game. Honestly, if you need to save, Matt Breida looks really good at 6,200 if I am going to target a running back in this game. Last week against the Cardinals, he got 17 touches, 15 carries, 2 receptions. I can't remember what the touch count for Tevin Coleman was. Coleman got 14 touches, so 15 last week for Breida, 14 for Coleman. It's going to be a pretty even split between the two guys. Obviously, like, if they get in the goal line, whichever guy gets the touchdowns, I mean, that's going to be the guy that probably comes through. And it could be just whoever is playing in that drive is going to be the one that punches it in. But regardless, if I have to choose a running back in this game, I'm probably going to side with Matt Breida just because his price is so cheap at $6,200. And you're saving $2,000 dropping down from like Carson and Coleman to him. DK Metcalf, $7,800. You could for sure target. He finally had a big game last week. The regression, or the positive regression, I should say, finally hit. 6 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown last week against the Bucs. I mean, Metcalf was one of the buy low receivers. Just been getting really unlucky this season. He's a guy that plays a ton of snaps. Obviously, him and Lockett are going to be on the field for 90+% of the snaps. I'm not sure why that's playing down there, but you got Metcalf playing 95% of the snaps last week. Lockett played 92%. So these guys are going to be on the field a ton. The opportunity is going to be there. 7,800 though, I don't know if I really want to go to Metcalf on this slate. I feel like I'm going to be either paying up for Lockett or Sanders, or I'm going to be taking a shot on some of these really cheap receivers like Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin, Dante Pettis. So probably don't have a ton of interest in DK Metcalf. Josh Gordon's a guy I want to talk about. It has not been confirmed yet whether or not he's going to be active for this game. He's not on the injury report, so he's fully healthy. He can play. It's to be determined though whether they actually suit him up and let him go out there and play. He could be quote unquote active. He could be active but not actually get on the field. That's kind of just to be determined. I imagine we'll find more about that on Monday as the day goes on, especially when 6:30, 7 o'clock hits, when the inactives and actives come out. We'll probably have more clarity on what Josh Gordon's role is going to be. If he's going to be full go at 5,400, he is definitely interesting, just given the upside that this guy has in a good offense and with a good quarterback in Russell Wilson. For sure have an interest in Josh Gordon if we can get some clarity on what his workload is going to be. But now talking about some of these values we have, Deebo Samuel, someone I like a lot here. I think he's really going to benefit from George Kittle being out. He was already playing a pretty hefty amount of snaps for the 49ers, 66% last week. He's pretty much in the 60 to 70% range. We could see him play more snaps here with George Kittle out. They're going to need probably more guys to step up from the wide receiver spot. The tight end, or the backup tight end for the 49ers, he is really cheap. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Ross Dwelly. He's expected to be the starting tight end. He did get 4 catches, 29 yards last week. I believe Kittle actually played that whole game, though, so I'm not sure if Kittle got hurt during the game and had to come out, or maybe the injury just happened throughout the week. But at 2K, Ross Dwelly as the starting tight end could for sure be in play. He played 70% of the offensive snaps last week, so there you go. So definitely could be an interesting play as a value if you're looking to really go cheap. But I think my favorite values are under 5K and below are probably Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin. Definitely Samuel I feel safer with than Goodwin. If you want to take a shot on Dante Pettis, you could definitely look there. I mean, he was on the field for 30% of the snaps last week. He did catch a touchdown last week. So he's still going to be involved. It's not like he's just going to be on the bench the whole time. He's not going to project to see a ton of targets, but on these one-game showdown slates, if you can just get lucky and get the guy that scores the touchdown, that really is kind of all you need. So I don't mind going to him at 3,400. I do want to talk about some of these Seahawks wide receiver threes. So obviously we know Metcalf and Lockett are going to be on the field a ton, but we also might see David Moore get some snaps. You're going to see Jerron Brown be on the field a little bit as well. Last week, David Moore did play 55% of the snaps, which is pretty interesting given his price on this slate. Only 1,200 in a game where the Seahawks are probably going to have to throw plenty. Moore's pretty much locked into 3 to 4 targets every week. Obviously, he doesn't have a ton of upside. He's yet to crack double-digit fantasy points this season, but you're getting a guy at 1,200 that's going to be on the field for probably 60% of the snaps. He's definitely going to have the opportunity. Now, if Josh Gordon is healthy and plays, I imagine that's definitely a bump down to guys like Jerron Brown and David Moore. Those guys are going to see big bumps down if Gordon's active, because Gordon will most likely step into that wide receiver 3 role. I guess that's kind of to be determined, but if you have a really good lineup that you like and you've got 1,200 left, I would not be scared to plug in David Moore, because I think he does give you a little bit of potential, just given the fact that he's at least going to be on the field, we know, for probably 55-60% of the snaps. But I think that's probably it for like all the player pool, at least for the guys that I think are playable. Let's talk through some roster construction real quick. Might even build out a couple lineups. So I definitely want to try and build out a lineup with Emmanuel Sanders at captain because he's probably one of my favorite plays here. If I am playing Sanders at captain, I want to pair him with his quarterback. So let's go with Jimmy G in that lineup. And that leaves us 59.25 to work with per player. So there's definitely a lot of ways we could go here. We could try and go like full stud and pay up for Wilson and Lockett. I don't know if we'd be able to do that. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get Wilson and Lockett. But if you go Wilson as the quarterback and then you want to pair him with one of his receivers, obviously you can't get Tyler Lockett, but you can maybe look to Josh Gordon if he is healthy and able to play. Like I said, it's 7,800. I'm not sure how much DK Metcalf I'm actually going to wind up playing on this slate, so I'd probably be looking to go elsewhere from him. Assuming Josh Gordon's healthy and fully ready to go, 5,400, I think he's a top receiver play on this Showdown slate. I think he's just a top play overall, factoring in his price and the upside that he has. Once you plug in Gordon, that leaves you 3,450 remaining per player, so there's a lot of ways you can go with these last two spots. Deebo Samuel is someone I talked about who I like a lot. If you plug him in at 4,800, that leaves you 2,100 remaining per player. So you could plug in the tight end that is expected to start for George Kittle, Ross Dwelly at only 2K. That's a lineup that I like quite a bit. If you want to drop down from Dwelly and go with David Moore at 1,200, he's someone you could look to as well. The 49ers do have Tuilololo, who could be a starter. It looks like he's going to serve as a number 2, though, so it's going to be Dwelly, it seems like. If you want to plug him in at 2K or go with David Moore, I could definitely see doing that. So that's a lineup build that I like quite a bit. Let's try a build with maybe Tyler Lockett at captain, then we'll pair him with Russell Wilson. Definitely want to have want to have a little bit of exposure to both sides. I do like some of these 49ers pass catchers for value. So you got Deebo Samuel at 4,800, who I've talked about. I really like. You could definitely play maybe Marquise Goodwin as well at 4,400. But once we go Lockett, captain, Wilson, and then Samuel, that leaves us just over 6,000 remaining per player. So I don't know if we'll be able to get Jimmy G in this lineup. We already had both quarterbacks in the last one, so let's go a different route, not go with both quarterbacks in this lineup. Let's go with Emmanuel Sanders at 10-2, see what that leaves us. 4K remaining per player. So the cheapest guy I like is David Moore at 1,200. If we were to plug him in, that leaves us 6,800. So then you could play Matt Breida at 62, which is a way you could go. You could do Breida, and then you could go with David Moore. That's a route you could take. Or we could go with like two mid-range guys, not go all the way down. Maybe take a shot on someone like Dante Pettis, 3,400. That leaves you enough to play Marquise Goodwin, which honestly I don't really like that because you've got exposure to 4 49ers receivers, but you don't have exposure to the quarterback. So honestly, that's probably not a route that I would take. Maybe though you can take out Sanders, and I guess you could go with both quarterbacks. They'd be 3,800. Then you could play, I guess, one of the kickers, which I usually don't like to do, but you could play one of the kickers. You could drop down to Jerron Brown or something, but I feel like the way I'm probably going to be approaching the Showdown slate, I'm going to be playing a lot of Manny Sanders at captain. I'm going to try and get exposure to at least one of the two quarterbacks, depending on who I have in my captain spot. For like cheap value plays, I really like some of these 49ers receivers because I think they're really going to benefit with Kittle out. They're going to see bumps. So Deebo Samuel, 4,800. Marquise Goodwin, 4,400. Maybe even Dante Pettis, 3,400. Don't mind taking a flyer on someone like Jerron Brown, or David Moore, Jerron Brown, who we know are probably going to be on the field for 40-50% of the snaps. Not going to project to see a ton of volume, but you might get lucky and they get into the end zone. Maybe go for like 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. That's really all you need at that price tag. But I think that's pretty much it for this Showdown slate, guys. I think that's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like down below. As always, that is greatly appreciated. If you have not yet, you can subscribe to the channel as well. Like I said at the beginning, I have a ton of content coming out for you guys. Would definitely appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Be sure to turn on the notification bell as well, so that way you get notified every time I upload. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at DFS by Noah if you haven't done that yet as well. But good luck tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.